Okay, well, thanks for tuning in here. I've got a couple updates to show in the game, and we'll do that now. Got this screen kind of updated, and this feels more like your standard DOS startup, kind of like a la Duke 3D or any of the Build Engine games. So it kind of has that old retro feel. And of course it's super loud, so I'm going to turn that down. There we go. Okay. I think you can still hear that, but it won't be too loud. Alright, so one of the things that we added were ladders. So a ladder is a usable, and instead of having all the usables kind of laid out with their cardinal directions, there's like a two-step process. So you can select the vending machine, and then you can select the direction you want it to face, and put it on the wall. And there are these ladders, and they're paired up. Ladder A top, ladder A bottom, B top, B bottom, C top, bottom, and D as well. And so they kind of act like teleporters. They're usable items, but you can run them. Here, I'll show you. There's our cola machine. You'll also notice at the top of the screen, kind of up here, there's text readouts for all the things that you're kind of picking up and everything. I put one in for the ladder for right now, so it just lets people know they climbed down the ladder, climbed up the ladder. And all it's doing is teleporting you to a different part of the level, but the idea being like, hey, you can see an area that you can't get to, so maybe you can kind of go under and then climb back up and be in that area. And it runs pretty fast. I mean, you just use the use key to use. Actually, don't know if distance. It seems like there's a bug where distance doesn't matter. That's hilarious. I didn't know that before. That's awesome. Okay, well, that'll be something that needs to get fixed. That's why this hasn't been released yet. That's hilarious, though. You can teleport from anywhere. It's actually kind of an interesting game mechanic. You can like see a ladder and you can use it and climb down and then climb back up. That's funny. That's not how it's supposed to work, but let's see. I guess we'll have to put in a distance check. So that's one of the things that we added, and then we also got the different selections, which I kind of touched on before. So you can paint singles, or you can do like a full rectangle and then subtract out everything, and or you can do a hollow add or a hollow subtract. So if you wanted to change the color of a room, you could cut it out and then grab something else. And that's size. There. They don't have to be the same size or anything like that. These just teleport you. So when you interact with this ladder top, it teleports you to ladder bottom. And so you can only have 4 ladders in the level right now. So you got to kind of use them wisely. And we may have more. I've got to think of a better way to kind of, add this interface so that you can specify the ladder identity. And ideally, I want to be able to do it without you having to type something in, so that you can't really introduce typos if you don't ask. If I can use, I can use the cola from far away. That's funny. Okay. Well, that is a bug. Let's go into our usable code and we'll fix it right now. And we'll fold everything. Resolve player interact. There should be a distance check, but there isn't. So we have to create a distance. and it'll be a function that is called isInRange, and we will pass into that the usable object player. Then we will get our distance, which is a floating point, and that's going to be equal to the entity distance of the usable sprite to the player's camera. And then we will return distance less than or equal to then we'll have a constant. And I think 2 is what we want. Now the question there, resolve player interact. I'm wondering if there's something else on the player side where the player is checking the interact distance. So we're going to run through the files. There it is, deusable. Okay, so it looks like we're not checking it. So go back, we'll leave our range count there. Is usable, bingo bango. There we go. Okay, so we'll save that and launch it again. And we'll see what we get. I'm fairly certain that'll take care of it. Just an oversight on my part. Okay, so here we are in our room. News. Okay. And then we'll just add something else for good measure. Use that. Try it again. Okay. And the ladders work. You can do this where you're kind of going up and down the ladder repeatedly. I really found a good way to do that yet. I'm sure I'll come up with like a fade to black kind of thing. So there's that transition. But I also kind of like the fact that it's instant, because then the game doesn't slow down, because it can change the pace. Change the pacing of the game. So yeah, so now we've got ladders, and that is going to add a kind of an interesting dynamic to the level generation, where you can, have multiple levels, multiple layers, even though you're really just building, the lower floor next to it. So if I were to just clear this out here, we could just walk around into the same thing. So now we're in the basement, and then we're coming up. So you can kind of see how that, and this mechanic I think will be expanded a bit to do things like elevators. We have an elevator button, you press the button, you go to a different floor kind of thing, as well as actual teleports. I guess I'll load the example folder, or map I mean, and this map is actually something that will come with the next rendition, or the next release. And you can see there's some additional usables there. That was an ammo locker. and then I'll pick up all of the stuff, and it'll tell you up at the top what those things are. And you also get points now for pretty much everything. So anything you pick up, and any of the enemies that you kill, they will be points value. But, you know, in each level you have to pick up a certain amount of evidence against the antagonist. And you'll see that down here. It's kind of identified with a manila folder. And so only the evidence is counted as, only some of the items that you pick up are counted as evidence. So like if you pick up a rifle, that's not evidence, but you will get points for it. And there you can see as I'm shooting these guys, I'm getting points for it. And I guess that's the other thing too, is now enemies will randomly drop stuff, which is new. So there's like a bandage there. I can't pick it up because my health is over 100, but that's the idea. And then I've got the ladders down here. And depending on how the ladders are facing, it will interrupt or not interrupt the player's flow, which is just kind of how they're oriented right now. That'll change. I think eventually I'll be able to adjust them so they can switch around the orientation to where however the ladder is set up. And yeah. So let's plant a bomb. Uh-oh. I have 10 seconds. I don't even know where the exit is. I don't think I put an exit in this level. So I'm just going to blow up. Yep, there we go. Okay. So yeah, we've made some updates. And hopefully we'll get this released soon. I'm going to try to do it tonight and see if I can't package it up and get it out there. But bear with me. And then we can kind of play with it some more and see what else needs to get done. There may be some other kind of little things that need to get cleaned up. So we'll see what happens there. I think what else changed? The interface changed a little bit. So this whole section now is kind of like a reusable piece of code that displays items like a select box, almost in HTML. And instead of having intros for every single map, there'll be just kind of like an intro to the episode, which you can read, and then you can go in and play your levels and unlock them. And yeah, so that's about it. Stay tuned because more stuff is coming, and I'm going to try to push this one out, this version out sooner rather than later. So thanks for stopping by. All right, bye-bye.